In the world of software development, some tools help you work a little faster, and then there are the tools that completely change how you work. Today, we are absolutely talking about one of the latter. We're diving deep into GitHub Copilot. Just let that sink in for a second. What if all the tedious, repetitive, mind-numbing parts of writing software just happened? Imagine describing a problem, and the solution just starts appearing, right there on your screen. Well, that idea, which sounded like pure science fiction just a few years ago, is now very much a reality. And it's all thanks to GitHub Copilot. This isn't just another autocomplete tool. It's a genuine partner in the creative act of building software. So how does this AI partner actually, work? The best way to think about it is like having a super experienced developer sitting right next to you, always ready to jump in, finish your thought, or even sketch out entire functions for you. Now, the whole point here isn't to replace developers. Not at all. It's about freeing you up from the boring, repetitive stuff that just drains your energy. It's all about letting you focus on the big picture, the really hard problems that need that spark of human creativity to solve. So what's happening under the hood? Well, first, Copilot scans your open files and your project to get its bearings, to understand the context. Then it packages all that up and sends it to a massive AI model. That model generates a suggestion, but before you see anything, it gets checked for safety, security, and all sorts of other things. Finally, if it passes, it appears in your editor as that faint ghost text, just waiting for you to hit tab. Okay, so now that we've got a feel for how it works, let's look at the actual tools you'd be using every single day. So picture this. You're building a new feature. With Copilot, you can just write a comment describing what you need, and boom, it starts generating the code. If you hit a snag, you can just ask Copilot Chat in plain English to explain something or help you debug. Even cooler, you can feed it a picture of a UI mockup with Copilot Vision, and it'll start building the code for it automatically. It's wild. But this is where the story takes a huge leap forward. Everything we've talked about so far describes an incredible assistant, right? But lately, Copilot has evolved into something way more powerful, an agent. And this quote from AI Tools Dev Pro it hits the nail on the head. We're not talking about a tool that just helps with the line you're currently writing. We're talking about something that can grasp the big picture and start making its own plans. Let's make this super clear. Imagine you find a bug. An assistant can help you fix that bug in the file you have open, but you're still the one driving. An agent, on the other hand, can look at the bug report, scan the entire codebase, figure out the root cause, and then map out a solution that might touch 10 different files. It's the difference between a helpful navigator and a copilot who can actually fly the plane. Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this actually look like when the rubber meets the road? How is this being used out in the wild? I mean, just look at this number. A reported 60% reduction in time spent writing boilerplate code. Think about what that means. That's more than half your day back to focus on the creative, challenging, and frankly fun parts of the job, while the AI handles the grunt work. And we're seeing this pop up everywhere. In finance, where security is everything, it's helping analysts crank out complex scripts. In healthcare, it's acting as a translator between different patient record systems, a huge headache. And in big enterprise companies, it's even helping to modernize ancient codebases, dragging them into the modern era. Okay, so it sounds pretty amazing, right? But let's be real, it's not a silver bullet. No tool is. So let's talk about some of the limitations and see how it stacks up against the competition. You have to be smart about how you use it. It can still hallucinate, write code that looks perfect but is just plain wrong. And you have to be super careful with security. Never just let it handle your secret keys or passwords blindly. It's a powerful tool, but at the end of the day, you're still the expert in charge. And look, while Copilot might be the biggest name on the block, it is definitely not the only game in town. You've got tools like Cursor, cloud-native players like Amazon Q, and privacy-focused options like Tabnine all competing for your attention. But Copilot's secret weapon? It's baked right into GitHub, giving it a home field advantage that is really, really hard to beat. So when you take a step back and look at this whole landscape, it's clear we're not just talking about a cool new feature. This is a fundamental change in how software gets made. The question isn't if the job of a developer will change, it's how it's going to change. And this right here, this is the key takeaway. The job is shifting. It's becoming less about the raw mechanics of typing out every semicolon and bracket, and much more about being the architect, designing the blueprint, and then acting as the senior reviewer for the work your AI agent delivers. And that leaves us with a really fascinating, almost philosophical question. If these AI agents get good enough to handle the nitty-gritty of how to build something, does that finally free us humans up to pour all our energy into the why? Why are we building this in the first place? What problem are we trying to solve for people? That's the future that tools like GitHub Copilot are pointing us toward.